probably no future me because this is going to be totally uploaded to YouTube. I'm John Simon. Welcome to Tangents on Everything and Nothing. We're at Stable Studios. Yeah, thank you for letting us have this interview. This is Janet Weasley, correct?
Jessica.
Wesley. I do that to everyone.
That was
I bet to
completely
Michael
off.
Mark. Yeah. Jessica Weasley.
Wesley.
Wesley.
Yes.
Oh, you know I say Weasley. Well, for she who cannot be named, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here at the studios, and let's get a quick history.
Yeah.
We were talking about how you got started with this. Would you like to kind of refresh that so our listeners and viewers can see it?
Yeah. I was kind of explaining to him. So this whole facility itself used to be a barn. When I was a kid, my mom raised horses. I was a very rebellious teenager. I was really good at throwing parties, talking to bands, things like that. Took off to California to live the dream. Came back pregnant with my tail tucked between my legs and need help. So I came back home, and my mom decided to go back to school, get out of the Morgan horse business, and Dad said, I want to put in a recording studio. He's always been a musician, and my sister and I were out of the house, so it just kind of seemed like the next step. So he asked us about that, and I'm like, yeah, because I don't know what my future entails. I'm basically a single mom at 23 with 2 kids. I need to figure out something, so yeah. I'm in. So that's kind of the history of that on my end. Mom and Dad's side might be a little bit different, but yeah, that's kind of how it got started. And the main idea was to do a recording studio, because again, he was a musician, so having the idea that we could have that experience where bands come in here and they get, inspiration, and they walk the property and they do this stuff and they stay here for like a week, like the Stones and the Beatles used to do, right? And pump out this great studio album. And then, technology kind of took over, and people are like, why would we spend so much money for a week of that when we could just record it in our basement and get as many gigs?
Right.
So then the dynamic of the business model had to change a little bit. So we started doing more live music and more festivals, and that kind of, I think in the 20 years or whatever that we've been doing this, we've just grewed with anything that's been thrown at us. Like, well, how do we have to change now to react to what's been happening? We've tried this, that's not really worked, so we got to pull that back and do something different. So for us, the live music really is what has kind of put us to where we are right now.
Okay. So
we've done lots of different music festivals and events and open jams and all these things, and now we've got all these different kinds of festivals that are coming up that are finding us now instead of us trying to find them. Trying to find excellent. Somebody to utilize this space. Now they're like, we want to use your space. Right. So,
well, that leads us to what's the first show coming up?
So we start in May, which is 4 or 5 weeks away.
Yeah.
So our first one is our May 14th Spring Spectacular. It's local and regional bands and artists that are coming out for a couple days. Camping, all ages. I'll get back to that. So then there's so many things I want to say, because it's such a cool place, and it's just completely evolving all the time and changing. But so we have that, and then we have a Kinetic Fire retreat.
Kinetic Fire.
Kinetic Fire.
What's Kinetic Fire?
So Kinetic Fire is a group of fire artists and prop artists that are primarily in the Midwest. It's kind of a offset to Burning Man, so to speak. So it's much, much smaller, but very similar, and the same kind of artists that come in. So they've got one in on the West Coast. I believe it's in Oregon, and this is kind of like their sister retreat.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of people that get together and they learn how to manipulate objects. Jugglers, artists, fire spinners, all kind, fire breathing. I mean, it's all based around fire, but it's also based around prop manipulation.
Okay.
And these people are absolutely incredible. The dancing, the art, the fire spin. I mean, it's just so cool. So they basically come in for about a week. The event, I think itself, is like 3 days. But again, it's a retreat. It's not really a festival.
Right.
So they learn to kind of hone in their skills. So
I'm going to have to try to schedule that one in, because that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's so cool. It is so cool. They do this big fire ring out in one of our big pastures, and it's gigantic. And, for somebody like me, I would burn myself up and die. Like, I'm not even going to try it. But they have it, and they're very responsible with, you kind of stand in line, and they have certain times and certain points that people can get in this big fire ring, and they've got people around to watch. And so you've got like the novice, to the most experienced person in there, just manipulating and doing these fire spitting to music, and it is so cool. It is the neatest thing in the world, and it's really cool to see somebody that comes in on, say, a Thursday that has a prop, and you can tell they have no idea what to do, and then by Sunday they're in that fire ring going at it. You know, it's really cool. So they come in for like a week in May, and then we have our Super Jam, also Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
So the Super Jam is the first Friday of every month from November to May. We do our open jam here in the studio, in the lounge, throughout the winter and fall. It's an opportunity for musicians to come in and play and practice, basically. It's about a 15-minute changeover between bands, or that each band gets to play. They get to get up and play, and one thing that I think I say almost every single open jam when I announce like the next person coming up is how responsive our crowd is. Because it's not like going to a bar where there's people drinking and having a good time and, you know, conversating, but the audience is so attentive to the musicians that are on stage. And we've had high school kids that come up here and rock out heavy metal. We've got bluegrass, like we've got scream emo kind of or emo kind of music. I don't know. Not really. We've got jam bands. We've got classic rock. We've got country. Like you never know what's going to come up on the stage. So we do those open jams throughout those months, and then the Super Jam, we actually kind of invite back the people that have come and played for the open jam, and we pay them then to play on our big stage outside. So it's almost like a practice for them to come in, because they do pay to play, which can be kind of scoffed at, but that money goes to our sound engineer, our lighting guy, you know, our staff, and we're not a bar, so we don't make money off of booze. And that's a big thing with other bars that have open jams is they either don't have a cover or it's like $1, you know, like really cheap. Ours is $5, and some people are like, so to pay $5 to come in and play? Well, yeah, and it kind of sucks, but it'll pay off in the end because we're going to pay you to come out and play. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of the idea to get experienced, but also like not very experienced musicians to play with an audience, again, that's going to engage with them. Right. And then talk to them after the show, and I really like that.
That's a lot harder to do at a bar.
Yeah, because then you have people clanking around beers and talking, and they're not giving you any respect or paying any attention.
Most of them are there for the alcohol. And
yeah. So this, our attendees like really seem to engage with the music, which is cool, which is what we want. So then when we do the Super Jam Memorial Day weekend, we do it all outside with a bigger production. And then people can come and camp, and it's kind of an all-day thing, and we have some food trucks, and, you know, make them, because the idea is to have you basically come and play at the open jam and practice and get that feeling, but then come to the Super Jam and feel like you're that rock star, feel like you've earned that, you know, hour set, and like you can show everybody what you really have done over the months. So, yeah, so that's kind of May. And then we've got a couple weddings that are going to be out here. And then we've got several different shows through June and July. In June, Todd Snyder's going to be here, which is really exciting. He was here several years ago, and he's just really fun. And it's a 2-day event, and he's our headliner. And weather permitting, it's going to be out in the new amphitheater.
Nice.
Yeah. The one good thing is if the weather is, you know, unfavorable, then at least we can go into the pavilion so we can still play music, even if it's pouring down rain, and have a bigger space to do that. So we have that. And then the second week of July, we have Breathe Fest, which is, I want to say the 4th year. COVID kind of screws me up, but I think 3rd or 4th year. And that is one of the most mind-blowing events I think that we have. And when they first came to us and said, we're looking at your facility, this might be like the perfect place. In my head, I was thinking, because it's like kind of slacklining, yoga, these different things. And every year it just evolves into more and more. So they have these really great meditation tents and talk tents and yoga classes and slacklining, and the entire woods is just covered in slacklines. And you see guys walking across, our pond, I don't know, 100 foot up and just through the trees and doing flips and like all these crazy things. So it's like these people like literally push the envelope of what their bodies can do and then what you can do with your mind. And so like one year my son was 8, I think, 9. And we came actually in this room and did a class about, like how you can manipulate your dreams, your lucid dreaming, and trying to figure out how to do that. So it's mind, body, and spirit all over the place. And it is so cool. It is so cool. So that's July 7th through the 10th.
Okay. Remind me to get all that information. We can have that in the comments as well. in the description, and we'll post it everywhere we can.
Awesome.
Plaster it on the walls.
Yeah, because
Yep.
you want to keep going? Should I just
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I was like, do I stop here and talk about something else?
Oh, I just wanted to say that before I forgot, because
Okay.
I'm just, listening.
Yeah.
I get caught in, especially with somebody who has a plethora of information.
I know, and
Yeah.
I talk really fast sometimes because I get kind of nervous, but yeah, like all of this can be found on our website, Facebook page, Stable Studios. I'm in charge of doing all that. I should probably update it, like right now, because I'm like, oh, you know what? Did I put that on there? But
Well, this is
it's
just a
close.
friendly reminder to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Message me and be like, is this up to date? Oh shit, no, there's this too. But so in July we have the Dark Side of the Barn, where we've got 3 cover bands. We've got a Pink Floyd cover band, a Grateful Dead, and a Fish cover band.
Oh, nice.
And it's
okay.
a camping event too, and we'll have lights and all kinds of stuff in the woods, and it's a party. It's fun. And the bands are fantastic. And then we are actually, you're the first to know this, I guess. Anybody that's going to be listening to this, because it hasn't been announced.
Exclusive preview.
That's right. Yeah, this is a big deal. We're going to do a country western festival, which will be the first one we've ever done, in August.
Okay.
So we've got this really great band. Dusty Miller, who's been out here for a long time, is doing a Garth Brooks cover band called No Fences. And he sounds and looks exactly like him. And it's an 8-piece band, and they're so good. So they're going to be out here with a couple other artists before that as well. And it's going to be a camping event. So, yeah, that's the first preview of that. That's all the information I'll give for right now. But it'll be in August.
More to come on that, and we'll have a little bit of that in the description as well.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Wow. So, okay,
Yeah.
that puts us in August. September?
Let's see. So, September. Gosh. September we have Beerlympics. That's a really fun one. That's been going on for probably 10 years. That started with my cousin, who I'm not even for sure was 21 when they started this, she and her friends, honestly. But it grew into an actual business.
Yeah, and we're also past the statute of limitations. So,
Right.
aha.
Right. Yeah, they were just practicing. They were just practicing,
And it was lemonade.
Yes, coming up with the idea for it. No, but it is so much fun, and people. So it's an event. It's from noon until the games are over with, and it literally is the Beerlympics. And you pick a country, and your country dresses up together. So we get guys in kilts from Scotland. You get people from Japan. You get people from. I mean, it's all over the world, and everybody dresses up. And they play these amazing games. Some of them they've made up on their own, like Beerlympics, the company itself. A lot of them are, like your beer pong, your quarters, sink the biz, cornhole. And then they've got, it's very professional, very well done. And knock on wood, we've never had any kind of issues with people getting drunk, crazy, and outrageous. People come and play these games and have so much fun. It's competitive because there's a couple guys and a couple groups that come in like, they want that, because I think you get $1,500 as like the prize,
Oh,
like
wow.
the first place. So people come in like, we're gonna win. We've been practicing all year. We've been doing these games. We've been drinking this beer. Like we can do it. But Bud Light sponsors it, so that's the beer that they have, and they have all these. It's so fun. I've had to play a couple times as a extra, or what's the word? Not an extra.
Stand in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do terrible. I think the first year I crawled back to the house. I'm pretty sure throwing up on myself because I can't drink beer like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so you have to pace yourself a little bit. I would suggest getting 5 people on your team instead of 4, so you don't have to have that alternate that can't handle themselves. But it's really fun, and the way that people dress up, and it's so fun.
Are civilians involved in that in any way?
No, because their beer, with being craft beer, it's kind of hard to drink. So the cheaper Bud Light.
I'm just saying them as a team should come in, not bringing their own beer. As much as that would be great, they would not. I don't think they produce that much.
No,
legally.
that's true. I don't think they can hang with that. But I know Victoria that works at the brewery, and if she's listening, she's talked about it when she turns 21, which I think just happened a year or 2 ago.
Yeah,
she's
she was
like
looking forward to getting behind that bar.
She's talking about getting a team together. So maybe 2022 will be their year.
All right, Ben, talking to you.
Yeah. Yep. I think they should, because they would have so much fun. It's such a great event. Like, it really is hysterical.
Just can't imagine what country they would try to represent, though.
I don't know. That's a good
right.
point. I don't know.
Okay, Ben, if you see this, which hopefully you will either watch or listen to this, if you get a team to be part of the Beer Olympics, what country are you going to represent? Don't say Antarctica.
Yeah. We want to know.
Yes.
So, yeah,
I'm going to have to actually reach out to him on this one.
I think so. I think you should. I think I might too.
Oh,
Oh, that'd be great.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's September. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else in September. I think it's mostly that we just have weddings. And then the end of September, first weekend of October is Phase 7. So Phase 7, we had Phase 5, 6, and this will be 7 out here. It's very similar to the big festivals that we had back in the day with like One Earth and Hyperion and fairly big regional acts, DJs, electronic music, dancing, lots of live art painting, several different stages going at all time, camping, and it's like a 2-day event of just live music and art and fun. So it's another one that we're really excited to have back. And it's so interesting too because like with COVID, like when COVID first hit, I know that like we all were like, okay, you kind of took that breath of like, we don't have to do anything right now. This is interesting. And that lasted like a month. And then we were all like, what do we do? And then talking to all these other events and festivals and people, and not just people that come and experience and support us out here, but all the other festivals and events and people that like, they want to do these festivals. They want to come back and do this stuff. And like, do we feel safe? What are we going to do? It's really nice to finally, after like 2 years, be back on schedule and feel comfortable enough doing it, And I know everybody that I talk to that comes out here to do events has talked more about, making sure we have more sanitation, making sure we have different things to kind of just be aware of. It's just so damn good to be back. So I think that one, and then I can't say anything yet because they're coming on a tour this weekend, but I think we're going to have something really, really cool for Halloween.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Halloween day itself?
It's going to be, I think, the weekend before Halloween.
Okay,
It's like the 22nd weekend, whatever that is. We've got some things in the works that haven't been announced yet, but
Halloween's my time, so I'll have to,
Yeah. That's our anniversary. My husband and I got married on Halloween.
So did me. I mean, we got married in New Orleans on Halloween.
Oh, nice.
That's how much I like Halloween.
What does it say? Oh,
This is
yeah.
blue sheet.
Yep.
Just happened. He's like, oh, I'll just grab this shirt today. So.
But you see, you topped me because we didn't get married in New Orleans. We got married at the courthouse. But it was still Halloween.
Right. That's all that matters right there. That's the important part. We were living in Florida, and we're like, well, we're going to go get married on Halloween. And my whole family was like, oh, no, we want you to do it some other time. And we're like, you can either meet us there or not. And we ran off and did it. Yep.
Good for you. How many years ago?
22 this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a long time.
Yeah, we were going to do a big celebration on our 20th, but, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So.
Well, 25 is good.
We're actually aiming for 24, I think, because that's the next year for the eclipse.
Oh.
Yeah, even though it's in April or May, but
that
we're
would
kind
be
of
cool.
lining up with that.
That would be cool. Yeah.
That's kind of. Are you guys doing anything out here for the eclipse? You're just on the edge because the actual center's in Bloomington, but you're still going to get totality here.
We haven't talked about it.
Yeah. So.
You might have just started something.
Actually, I hope so. I really do.
Yeah. We should probably do that. I mean, it's a great place out here to see. I mean, it's clear.
Yeah.
Oh, there's not much light pollution. That'd be excellent. We should do that. Okay,
right.
So that'll be something else.
We planted that seed.
Yeah. That's all it takes, honestly.
Yeah.
Like if somebody says something and we're like, we didn't think, let's do it. Because I mean, it's so fun. Like it really is, and it's stressful. Like there's definitely festivals and events and different things where we've had thousands of people on this property, and I don't sleep for 3 days.
Well, that's a good way to put it. What is the buildup to require all the logistics to get it just to opening day, much less actually running the event?
Exhausting, exhausting, and we don't have I think people think we have more people that work for us or with us than we do. It's really my mom, my dad, my husband, and I. That's it. I mean, we've got a great engineer. We've got several different friends and family that help volunteer, throughout things and keeping the property maintained and building stuff. My kids usually end up working the front door for us for, nothing. I'm like, okay, remember I told you I'd buy those shoes for you? Okay, can you work the front door for 3 hours?
You want the new PS game? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I have to use that as leverage because we have 5 kids, so it's expensive. But they do help a lot. So,
Excellent.
So we don't really have staff, you know. But I mean, just the maintenance. So the property itself is 55 acres. So just maintaining that and having ample space for camping and clearing stuff out. Like that tree looks like it's going to fall. We need to take that down. We need to clean this up. We need to make this better. So we were lucky during COVID to be able to expand a little bit. And right before then, there's a big valley out in our woods that kind of connects two parts of the property where camping and parking are at. So Breathe Fest, with all of their rappelling gear and all of their incredible knowledge, helped us build a suspension bridge that goes across it.
Oh, wow.
So it's just a footbridge.
Okay.
It's not really for people to drag a bunch of camping stuff, but it is cool as hell. And it's across this great big valley, and there's a nice little creek that runs underneath it, and it's just so cool. And so we did that, and then we had a gentleman that anybody that's listening to this that lives or is around Owen County will know of, Doug Hanscom. He was a 5th grade teacher, keyboard player. He lived out here for a couple years. And he passed away.
I believe he was one of my kids' teachers.
I'm sure he was. 5th grade. Everybody that talks about Doug Hanscom as a teacher. My kids didn't have him as a teacher, but anybody else, any friends that I have, just loved him. He was wonderful. I knew him as the keyboard player in my dad's band. So I had a whole different, and I saw so many people come out too. Like he'd be just rocking on stage and like, is that my 5th grade teacher? Because he had retired. And
I know teachers aren't allowed to have a life; they just teach.
They're just weird, right? They just stay at school and they live there. They don't. They're not somebody else. Yeah. So it was neat, kind of seeing kids that would come in and like, whoa, But when he passed away, and it was in June of 2020, we were kind of shut down and like trying to figure out what we were going to do. It was a really sad time for all of us, and it affected my dad really bad. He didn't play for a long time after that. Quite frankly, none of the band really wanted to play. Everybody was just kind of, it was COVID weird anyways, and then that, and so it was actually my husband's idea to put this amphitheater in the woods, which he had talked about before, and I'm like, yeah, great idea, because we're always, laying in bed thinking about stuff like, what we should do? We should have a circus out there. We should, I'm always thinking of grandiose ideas that like, we should get this touring band or that, so this one, like, maybe that'll work, and Dad kind of needs something to do anyways, because, he's kind of shut down, so, I kind of proposed the idea to him, and when my dad gets an idea, he just like manically takes off with it, and it's so quick and it's so furious and so brilliant. Like it's kind of crazy. So this amphitheater that's out there, we did in memoriam for Doug, because he had passed away and we weren't playing anyways, and Dad wanted to have something on this property for him. So we started with taking down our own trees and finding a portable sawmill. So we got a kid from around here, Jerry. I think Miller's his last name. Is that right? I should know that because Jerry's awesome. But he brought his portable sawmill out here, and we just milled all of our own trees.
Oh, wow. And
then I wish the guys were here to like explain it all, because
well, they're hands-in on it.
Yeah, because the construction of it was literally just them. We had several different friends in band, like I said, like volunteer and help, but like there wasn't a construction company, there wasn't a whole lot of money put into it, and the structure is incredible. It is so cool.
And I'm pretty sure he said 15 minutes. It's been a little more than 15 minutes.
I know. Yeah. He was. So. Oh yeah. I knew they were going to try to avoid being on this.
Oh, we can always do another one and force them in here.
I think we have to, because they have so much, like, listening to me talk can be kind of freaking boring. Like I just talk real fast and I ramble and my neck gets hot.
You still have a lot of great information. You're doing well. Honestly. Yeah.
Thanks. But they're all so cool, and I think it's neat when we're all four in the same room, because it's like, it's my mom, my dad, and my husband. So you can imagine our business meetings sometimes can be heated, annoying. Where we all are just like, really? That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Like, it's hard to work with family, but we do it pretty damn well, and they're so, my dad and husband especially are just completely brilliant. So I wish they were here to talk more about that, but
maybe they'll still sneak in the last few minutes.
I hope so.
Now the amphitheater, that was conceived in 2020, and when was it completed?
2021. So we wanted to make sure we did like Doug's memorial celebration there first. We did not feel right doing any kind of music on that stage until all the bands and artists that he's ever played with were able to go up there. And unfortunately, like with COVID and everything, we had to reschedule. Like then this band got COVID, and they were, Doug's good friends, and anyways, we finally were able to do it in the summer of 2021. So now it's official. Like grand opening will be May 14th will be the first time that we have.
May 14th,
Yeah, that we have it
Yes.
on the stage. So yeah, bear with us if there's any kinks because there's no electricity out there. So we're doing it all powered by generators,
Okay.
which is going to be, I think, a challenge. I think we'll figure it out. I know we will. But I always, they're always way cooler than me. I'm
Mhm.
always like this close to having a panic attack at any point in time over
Mhm.
just about anything. And they're always like, "No, man, it's cool. It's cool. We'll figure it out." So, but I'm really excited to see like that actually happen and to see people in that grassy area just
Mhm.
enjoying themselves and the food trucks and all the people and like yes, Doug would love this.
Oh yeah, May 14th, right?
May 14th.
May 14th, grand opening of the Stable Studio Amphitheater.
Yep.
Sorry, no pictures in the description. You got to come out here to see it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm evil like that. So.
I love it. Yeah, send them out here. Get them out here. Yeah.
All right. Okay. The studio was technically the first thing.
Yeah.
Uh, let's go with the developments. What happened after the studio? Because you had bands come in or do the recordings. That phased out. You moved into doing more shows.
Mm-hmm.
So you modified the studio building, and then what happened?
Yeah, so we went more into festivals and live music. So I think I want to say like our first outdoor music festival was 2007, and then like kind of a couple bands got kind of tried out outside, do this kind of thing, and then 2008. Do you remember that 100-year flood that hit Spencer?
Oh yeah.
In 2008,
Yeah.
we had a festival that weekend, and it washed out 2 bridges that get you here. So we had a couple hundred people here and nowhere to go. And like the stories, like that's another podcast right there. It's just everybody talking about that 2008 festival because we had all kinds of bands, and I always say it was a 30% chance of rain that night. And I remember being like 30% chance of rain. We're gonna be fine. No big deal.
Yeah.
And then that rain came in, and it was just like 25 inches in a 5-minute span or whatever. And I know I had some friends that were out camping. And they were like, we were asleep, and then all of a sudden, like, water's coming in our tent, and we're, like, kind of floating, and, like, I mean, the stories from it are crazy. And we had 2 food vendors, and one of them, because it happened, like, Friday evening, one of them had left, and so they couldn't get back. So we have literally all these people stranded in all this mud, and I've got bands calling me, like, we're trying to get there, but we can't get there. And people are like, when are bands going to go on? I'm like, I don't know, because the bass player is down in Evansville, can't get here. I mean, it was just a nutcase. Like, it was crazy. So so that was our first taste of how to do a music festival and how to fail miserably.
Okay.
And then what do you do when that happens? And luckily, like everybody that was here like rolled with it, and we had bands that showed up, and we actually had a band called Groovatron from Indianapolis make it that night, and they didn't get in here until like 11 o'clock, 11:30, as it was pouring down rain, and people were trying to find shelter, because it was just so horrible.
Yeah.
So this whole room was just packed. I think the term is elbows to assholes, right? Just, I mean, you could not move, and that band was just rocking on stage, and I mean, everybody was just having such a good time. And then, like, where do we go now? Like, we have to go back to our tent, and like, well, I mean, we can kind of open up some doors, and you guys can just kind of sleep in here and dry out. So, I mean, like, waking up the next morning, it was like almost like something from like Woodstock, we're just like mud and clothes and people, and you're just like, oh, this is gonna be a long day, isn't it?
Did you document any of it?
We only have some. That's the thing. It was 2008, so like I didn't have my phone. Like it wasn't like it is now.
The phones that were there, the 240.
It's like a flip phone maybe, and like
You're like, oh, hey, I've got 240,000 pixels.
Yeah. So the little bit of documentation is maybe there's somebody out there that'll hear this and be like, oh my gosh, I had my video camera or something, because it was nuts. But like then after that, like that kind of I think set the tone for us to again have other people interested in like our venue. So 2010 we did what was called One Earth, and that brought in some pretty good local, regional, and kind of national acts. So like on our stages, I mean throughout the years we've had the drummer from the Grateful Dead, we've had the Wailers from Bob Marley, like Bob Marley's son was out here, Dumpster Funk's been out here, and the majority of them are jam bands, but we've had Del McCurry's Boys out here with the Bluegrass Festival. So we've had some, if you're in that genre of music that you really like we've had some pretty big people that have came out here and played. But it took a while to kind of build up to that. And it definitely took a lot of failure. Yeah. Because like we had another festival where it rained again on a Sunday, and we had to cancel bands. And like for the bands, they're prepared to play on Sunday. They're driving from different places, and then we have to say, hey, like everybody's getting ready to leave. Like this huge storm is here. No one's going to be here, and now we're losing attendance. We can't really afford to pay you. So what do? You still got to pay the band. It's not fair to them. Well, and it sucks for us too. So the trials and tribulations of like making it work, but I don't know. We've definitely had some serious difficulties sometimes, and sometimes we're like, we've all looked at each other that next morning and been like, what the hell are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, this is not going to work. Like,
always
this
coming
is
to
hard.
that edge, but at least you're not going over it.
Exactly.
And you're right. Failure is going to happen. You've got to live through it, and you can hopefully be better next time.
Yeah.
Only next time's going to find a better way to get to you.
Yep. Well, I think about that too with like the kids. I know they've seen me like crying. I know they've seen me like devastated, or all of us with that look on our face of just pure like panic, like what are we gonna do? Like my dad never really has panic. He's usually just like, it's fine, we'll figure it out. And I'm like, I mean, but but we've been through that. But then but the highs that we've had, and those moments where we've seen like those bands, like again, like I remember the band called The Oath that was a bunch of high school kids that were rocking like Metallica and like Iron Maiden, and they were so good, and they were 14, 15 years old, and they were playing on our stage, and then having them at the Super Jam where people, grown adults are looking at these kids like, where the hell did they come from? Like, this is awesome. And then those kids coming off that stage and feeling like just that high, just that adrenaline rush and just that energy. So, I mean, I don't know. We've had a lot of highs and lows and done so much throughout the years. It's just crazy. I don't know. And it doesn't have, I mean, I don't think any of us want to slow down, but going back to like what I said earlier with like kind of changing with the times and stuff, like now we've got, the Kinetic Fire Festival, and we've got the Breathe Festival. So not only is this a place for like music, but it's a place that is like gravitating towards arts also and doing those different things. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, let's talk about the kids for a moment, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You basically utilize them as best you can for favors.
Yeah.
Do you think their involvement's going to grow? Are any of them actually interested in continuing this, or
I don't
is there
know.
no interest on that end?
I don't know. We'd have to ask them. I don't know. So we've got 2 that are 20, 2 that are 18, and 1 that is 13. So they've grown up here throughout all of this.
Not a bad place to grow up.
Yeah. I think like our 13-year-old, I don't think he doesn't know any different, and he's still young, and so like it's for him, like when he goes to his grandparents' house, there's hundreds of people at a music festival, like that's different, right? Like most kids go to their grandparents' house and like, I don't know.
And get put in the corner, ignored for a while. Yeah.
Right, maybe play cards or something.
Maybe,
I mean, watch TV, hang out. He's coming here and doing that. So, but they all put in the work. But like the older ones, like we got 2 that are getting ready to go to college. The other 2 are trying to figure out, they're in their 20s, figuring out what they're gonna do. I think eventually they'll all still kind of be around here, because even when we have the open jams, half the time we don't even ask like the older ones, are you guys coming? They show up anyways, so they want to be a part of it and just be around all of us and hang out. So
that's excellent.
Yeah. And I think it's helped them to be pretty well rounded with the amount of stuff they've seen and the amount of people, right? So they don't have like stranger danger that I think some kids have, but they also are aware of different types of people,
right?
Because we have grown men walking around here sometimes in bikinis, right? And so at certain places like that, that might be strange, especially from somebody from a very small town. And our kids don't have that. They're just like, oh yeah, I don't know, his name's Nick, or whatever, and he's nice, but like, it's always been a really good energy and good group of people that seem to gravitate towards here. And I hope that just continues and the kids get to still be involved in that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever done like a local band show, like a one night, get people from Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Bloomington, Evansville?
Yeah, we try to do a couple local different shows throughout the years, and at least get some local bands and stuff that will come out. My dad, because he's a musician, knows more locally than I do anymore. So we try to get them again out here on the stage and get them pushed out there for people to see. And we've done like different benefits for people in the community. I'm trying to think, just trying to support, like, again, all those musicians and all those arts. And like, I think it was, I don't know, a couple years ago, we did a Pride prom out here.
Oh,
that
nice.
was really cool. Yeah. My friend Kendra Holzapple and her kids and the Balishes were kind of, in charge of all of that. We basically just provided the venue. I didn't do a whole lot. But, it was just so cool because, again, like, having that, like, we're lucky to have that property and that space where it's all inclusive. Like, if you're a weirdo, if you feel self-conscious, if you're not sure that you can play music, if you're not sure who you are, if you don't know that people are going to accept you, when you're here, I guarantee that's not going to be a problem.
Excellent.
And if it is a problem, you better let me know because we'll have a problem. But having those kids here, and I was talking to a friend of mine at work the other day, and she said, I went to that as like a chaperone because I was just worried that, like, it's a pride prom. Like, people could look at that strangely. And what if somebody comes there and my kids? And it's like, well, I hope that's never the case. And she's like, it wasn't, and it was so cool. And the kids, like, they were in here dancing and having a good time, and they had like kind of a post prom out there, and it wasn't your traditional prom where they felt, they couldn't dress as they wanted to or be like they wanted to. They were in a room full of people that just let them be, and adults that just like let them be, and they had a safe place to be themselves.
That's phenomenal. Yes.
Yeah, that's important, because I don't think you legitimately have that in a lot of places.
Right.
You know.
I'm sure there would be a lot of pushback even in Spencer with how open and I would say up to date they are on things.
Yeah, and I worry about that sometimes. That what some people think that we do out here, what our neighbors, I don't know, feel about that. Like, I try to stay in contact with our neighbors and kind of let them know what we're doing. If you have any problems, let me know. If there's something that you want to hear as a neighbor, like, let me know. Like, do you listen to music? So
you're gonna hear it anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna hear it anyway. So there's something you would suggest, because we'll do it. I mean, it's just about because we don't know the country music genre very well, but we're trying to expand into that to get more people to get out here, and because it's just a space, it's just a venue to be able to do the things that you want to do.
And you're expanding your audience, which is the best thing you can do. This way you can, like you said, be as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, because in my head, I would love to see the guy in the bikini walk by the guy with the cowboy hat and shake hands and be like, yeah, man, and go on their way. And like in my world, having that happen would just be like,
well, we could sit there and play beer pong together. That'd be great.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
oh my gosh, just to incorporate all of those things and have all those different people at the same time would just, it'd be awesome.
I've got an idea. You think you could text them and say, hey, I need something over here with a light?
Yeah.
You can sucker them into front of the camera.
I think we can. I'm going to try.
Yes. So this is where we take a moment to just kind of like, I don't know, conspire against, bring in some more guests. So.
And we're getting close to an hour anyways. They don't even have to talk that much.
That's right. You said you so this isn't your main job. This is a secondary job. Let me rephrase that. This is your life. Then what do you do for work?
This is my life and my passion and what I do in every waking hour, except when I'm at my day job, which is I work for the state of Indiana. Okay. So, which is drastically different than what I do, but I really like what I do. But my husband's the same way. He's got a day job. My mom is a nurse. Dad's the only one that's retired, and he never leaves the property. So
you gotta get out. Well, he's got a lot to do here too, and it is a beautiful property.
Yeah.
We interviewed Mark Bell. He's doing the Spirit comic book, and as he put it, he says he has his job, and then he has what he wants to do. And I would definitely see Stable Studios as being the want to do.
Yeah. Yep. And because none of us make enough money to make this our one job, our one thing, and and that's okay. Like, we don't care, but
you probably have to have a lot more events to even get close to that.
I know. And like you asked earlier, like the events, they take a lot of time. I mean, just anybody that's ever put on any kind of event, even if it's just like a birthday party for a couple hundred people, knows that like you've got decorations, you've got advertising, you've got this, you've got that. Like there's so much that goes into it, and then managing and budgeting and trying to figure out like what makes sense and where do we advertise, how do we get the word out, all those kinds of things. And a lot of that stuff falls on me to do. Like I said earlier, like I'm supposed to be in charge of the website and all these different things, and I'm not very good at it, and I should get better at it. And sometimes, like I wake up most days at 3:00 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, like panicking about all the things I need to do. But I have that like I don't really do anything from 3 to 5 a.m. I
Mhm.
just sit there and make lists about all the things I need to do. And then by the time I get out of work or I get through like half of my day, I'm so exhausted I don't get half of it done.
Right.
So
Mhm.
riding that wave sometimes of that anxiety and stress and so many things. But yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot to get done. And then we're getting a stump grinder this weekend. We've got to grind out a bunch of stumps. We've got to
Mhm.
finish doing these compost bathrooms out there to get ready for all these events. And
Right. Yeah.
it's a lot. So yeah. And then we have well, we have the Airbnb here too, that we hadn't touched on yet, that was the apartment of Doug Hanscom's. And so once he
Mhm.
passed away, like, it takes a odd person to live on this property. You got to deal with a lot. You got to deal with a lot, and you got to deal with weddings, and you got to deal with stuff. So
Mhm.
we turned it into an Airbnb, and which is great. And then with that Airbnb, we have the chickens. So we have like the farm fresh eggs, and we do
Oh,
maple
nice.
syrup. So we have maple syrup you can have too.
Mhm.
So kind of a cool addition. Speaking of maple syrup,
Pull up a chair. Come on.
yeah,
All right.
I'll kind of
Quick,
All right.
You have to
quick
scoot
introduction.
scoot just a little bit.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Chris.
That's good enough.
Chris
Welcome,
Kinetic.
Chris. I appreciate it. You're currently working on some compost. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've been kind of thinking about the nonsensical way that government and society deals with human waste, and there's got to be a better way.
Oh, absolutely.
Used to be a better way. Like when I was a kid, you know, we spread manure on the pastures, and that's how we fertilize. And there's really not a heck of a lot of difference between human manure and cow manure.
As long as it composts properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We got a little bit more stuff today to deal with because of what we ingest, but what I'm going to focus on to start with is just urine separation, because I
Mhm.
think that's going to be a lot easier for us to do. It doesn't take a lot of research. It's pretty much sterile when it comes out, and then
And you're doing all this basically in preparation for the larger events, so that
Yeah.
the waste is taken care of and not
yeah,
becoming a problem.
you know, the way we did it before was porta potties. Not only gross, they put a lot more work into the sewer,
Yep.
here locally. So if we can avoid that, I think we're doing our part.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Are they going to be ready for the next event?
it'll be about 3 or 4 years probably.
Oh, it will not. Yeah, it's going to be ready. It better be ready.
Well, the nice thing is you're retired, so you've got the 3 or 4 years to work on it. We're
Yeah.
good there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're almost ready actually. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. Michael's back there now putting metal on the insides of all the units. As soon as he gets that done, we'll start hooking them up.
Excellent.
Yeah, man.
Excellent.
Moving right along.
Sweet. Now, with the show coming up on the 14th, are you ready personally for that?
Yeah. What is it anyway? What is
It's
that
a
show?
spring spectacular.
Yeah.
So we got a few different bands. It's going to be hopefully the first time we have it on the amphitheater stage, and
Yeah,
work out all the kinks there, and then
yeah.
move on with all the rest. We kind of
Yeah.
talked about all the rest of the shows and
Okay.
everything. This is our first big one, weather permitting. That's the problem. Is it's still spring, so let's hope that we can actually do it out there.
It's still spring, so you still have a slight chance of snow. Definitely a chance of wet.
Could be anything. Yeah.
Absolutely. It could be 80 degrees and beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember one time, I was probably 10 or 12. My dad and I were planting corn in the middle of May, and it was snowing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's not impossible.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope not.
Preferably no. Yeah. I know a lot of people would be mad at me if I said I actually would like to see that. So.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth right now. I think it's gonna be great.
We got quite a bit to do though, just to get that amphitheater ready. It still needs a generator, which we're about ready to pull the trigger on, and a little more PA stuff, outboard stuff, and we got 7 more lights ordered
Yeah.
to get the light show up where it needs to be.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good.
It's gonna be so cool though. It's just gonna be.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, because I just said something about us with the portable sawmill and doing a little bit about that, but will you kind of touch a little bit on how it was put together? Because I don't know the construction names. I know you've told me a million times, and I go, oh yeah, and then I forget.
Yeah, I thought it would be cool to do mortise and tenon,
Okay.
timber framing.
Yeah.
See if we could build something like that and not use any screws or nails.
Nice.
So it's about 90% done the old way with wooden pegs and
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I carved a wooden mallet out of a dogwood tree and took a 2-inch chisel and made mortises and cut the tenons with a handsaw. And
Oh, fun.
yeah.
Well, that's what you did during the shutdown, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the actual full construction time on that?
Let's see. We actually started first week of May, and see, we had an event deadline. Remember?
Yes, because it was Doug's first memorial.
Yeah. What, July something, 30th? And we were ready. We had it ready. And then COVID, I think, interrupted that.
Yes.
And we had to put it back into September.
Yeah, because we had like 4 or 5 different bands that all got COVID at the same time.
Right. Oh, yes. There was an outbreak in Bloomington amongst
Yeah.
a bunch of the musicians that were scheduled to perform. And they're all like, we're in quarantine, la-da-da, and we're like, oh my gosh. It's
Can't do it without you guys.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
not
Yeah.
going to happen. But we were essentially ready. So what is that, May, June, 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a little fine tuning to do. So we took some time off, and Laura and I went on vacation, and it worked out good. We came back, and then September we hit it again. So
Yeah.
4 months probably it was done.
Excellent. That's
Yeah.
not bad for, by hand, chiseling, making sure there's no nails.
Yep.
That's a lot of work, a lot of extra work.
And what's the Japanese?
It's an old, ancient, actually, way of preserving wood without using chemicals and so forth. It's called Shosuke Bond, and you just simply char any wood surface that's going to make contact with the soil or be in a situation where it might rot or get infested with termites or other insects and stuff. If you char it, which I had a big old torch and just char the heck out of it. There are buildings in Japan that are over 500 years old and show no rot. So
Excellent.
again, we didn't use any.
So the carbon
Yeah.
or ash acts as a barrier.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Right.
So that was another thing that the kids did a lot.
They get to
Get
play
the
with
kids on that
fire.
torch.
Oh yeah. Josie's little face was so red.
I know.
Oh hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
I can move out of you can sit here if you want to be in front of the camera.
Come on, Michael. You have a little bit to say, don't you?
Come on in. Take this chair.
Here, I'll slide over and you sit there. Oh, they're so mad at me. I know.
This was
Michael does not like this. I know it.
we were inspired to do this.
I've never seen him so stiff. Body language.
I know.
So you know what else is cool, John, about that amphitheater is, now I'm not going to say that we didn't take a live tree, but I'll bet you 90% of the lumber and the timber that we fell was already dead. As you know, ash borers are just making
Going nuts,
short work of the ash tree. Well, there's a beetle called the ambrosia beetle, which it devastated a whole area of our woods. The sassafras were dead. Man, sassafras for a carpenter is great to work with. It's kind of like western fir, Douglas fir. It's just fun to work with.
Nice.
Yeah, and then a lot of the poplars are still recovering from that blight that we had a few years back. So they're all stressed up top and stuff. So we thinned some of those out. What was the other? White oak?
White
Red
oak and
oak.
the red oak.
Yeah, well, the carpenter ants are attacking all the red oaks and causing them to suffer. So we took some of those. It was pretty cool.
Well, you said you took mostly dead, so it was probably standing and dead.
Already
Which
standing.
means it's nice and cured too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, there's a misconception maybe. Oh, you can't build out of green wood. Yes, you can if you timber frame. That's part of the concept.
Right.
Because when you put a tenon into a mortise and then you put your wooden pegs in it, you drill that hole 3/16 of an inch off the tenon versus the outside of the receiver. So when you drive that peg in, it draws it together. It draws that timber together, and then as it dries, it just gets tighter than heck.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. And I learned all this watching YouTube all winter. I didn't have
At least you
anybody.
did your homework, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Because remember, right before the lumber market just became impossible, this was our plan. We were going to do this, but we weren't going to use our own wood. We were going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got, well, we can't do it. We can't afford it.
What is it right now? Like 2x4x8 is $12 or something like that.
Come on,
It's
man.
absurd. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way that we could afford to do it.
Right. And
No.
it's just ridiculous from what $2 a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, young Jerry, he, the guy that has the sawmill and did all the sawing for us, which also we couldn't have done it without him.
No.
He was just a rarity for his age and his work ethic. He did a calculation on all the board feet that we had in it, and we were up over $75,000 at market price.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have killed the whole project right
Yeah.
there.
It would have never
Impossible. Yeah, it never would have
No,
started.
it would have started.
No.
No.
But see, that's what I was saying about these two. It's like, just come up with an idea, and then these two mouse around and watch videos and figure stuff out, and they figure out the way to do it the most efficiently and the most affordable. And it's nuts what they can come up with. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you verify this?
Yes, I can. I do a lot of dumpster diving at work, so I bring a lot of stuff home.
Nice.
Lots of recycled stuff.
All the metal that is out there on the amphitheater and in the bathrooms is all stuff I've taken off the job
Excuse me
sites.
for just a moment.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we roofed the amphitheater, the bathrooms, and we still have enough to do some more projects with the metal. It's just leftover, and they normally just throw it in the dumpster.
And that's what I built my own house.
Mhm.
Let's put some air quotes in there because I did have some help. But a lot of it, like the only thing that's new is like the wiring and some of the 2x4s. The rest is, oh, let's find this at Restore. This guy's selling this out of his.
Yeah.
I've got a stainless steel splash in my kitchen, and instead of paying $200 for a sheet, I was paying $20 for a sheet
Right.
because some guy was trying to get it out of his garage.
Yeah.
And I'm all for reuse, renew, whatever, because it's so much cheaper and it's just as good.
These two are the kings of it. When he did his maple syrup boil,
Mhm.
it was an old horse trough from 30 years ago that we've had forever, that at one time we used for weddings to put kegs in it, and it had a nice little bar top on it, so we used it for weddings for a bar with kegs. And then he used that and turned that into a big maple syrup boil that he put, well, you can explain how it's all set up, but I mean,
Yeah.
talk about recycling. That thing's been over here for,
No, I remember
30.
playing that as a little kid. That came from Mom and Dad's house.
that came from your parents' house?
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I remember swimming in it because all the ice would melt after the parties, and then we would get
Okay,
in
so
there
way
swimming.
longer than that. So not to date you too much, but that's been 40 years or
Back
more.
in the 80s,
Yeah.
early 80s,
Yeah.
late
I had to
70s.
apologize for leaving for a moment, but the
Understand.
Rolling Stones won't leave me alone. They keep wanting me to play sax on tour.
You just tell them, that if they don't meet your price, you got to say no.
Well, that's what's causing it to.
Right.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
Excellent. So, what future projects do you have? Are you still focused on like the amphitheater and other
oh
things?
man, a big lake
The big lake.
and some cabins. Yep, that's the next thing. In fact, Jerry's been back there sawing hickory. That's going to be in the lake site. So again, we're not just ravaging the
Right.
woods. So
And we want to take whatever we can because we burn with wood at home. So
Right.
anything we can take home to burn.
yep.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that's going to be fun.
Your favorite band that's played at any of the venues here?
Well, the Traveling McCurries, I think, was just the most. God, those guys are good. And it's the four of them standing around one microphone, and they got nowhere to hide, man.
Right.
If they're out of tune or if there's nowhere to hide. But they didn't have to. They're flawless.
Excellent.
And, it's kind of cool. I've been working on the bathroom upstairs. Well, to get the deal done, we had to provide some accommodations, overnight accommodations, because I think, where were they headed the next day?
I don't remember.
Somewhere far away. So we said, well, stay at our house. We're kind of an Airbnb, the house is. And I didn't have the bathroom upstairs quite done yet. I was remodeling it. So when we were walking upstairs to show them where they were going to stay, and the guy said, so how long have you guys been doing the Airbnb thing? And I'm like, I don't know, what time is it?
What time did you guys get here?
Yeah.
How is the Airbnb going since that is relatively new?
Pretty well, definitely during COVID, because that's basically when we started it. So people were flocking from Chicago and Indianapolis. We get Chicago. We get so many people from Chicago. It's crazy that are looking for a place a few hours away. And we had that one couple, remember, that came down and they were going to go to McCormick's Creek and do all this stuff in the area, and they got down here and they never left. They had 2 kids, and we got a little canoe, and they went fishing, and they'd never fished before, and Silas happened to be out there and like, let me show you how to do this, you know? So they're like, this place is great, and they just kind of hiked around and stuck around.
And
but
nothing against McCormick Creek. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're here too, there's not much incentive to go.
Well, yeah, because they didn't know what to expect, right? You
Right.
see the pictures and everything, but then they get here and like, oh, we can do half of what we were thinking about doing just here and never leave. But yeah, and then a lot of people that travel, you know, from Michigan or Illinois that are going down to Kentucky, but are taking a little jaunt to the side, or coming up from Florida to visit Wisconsin or something. Just
Right.
people kind of cutting through that find like a cool little place to stop. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's not about the destination. It's about the journey, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And we try not to like, because when we first did it, Dad was like, I don't want to have to talk to people. I don't want to have to like entertain or do all this stuff. Kind of like, I don't know about this. And then ever since it started happening, and then people would show up and then, hey, how are you? He's like, hey, how are you? And then we'd get to talking, and then the smallest little thing they'd have in common, or a coincidence of you've crossed paths with them at some point, and just cool.
And when are the Stones staying?
Well, you got to work on that deal, right?
Yeah, big Jagger up there, and, you know, who knows what'll happen, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost a liability at this point.
Yeah.
Having him here.
I know. What I was thinking.
Yep.
You're saying you need the geriatric features in the house for the Stones coming over?
Yeah.
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 They are in their 80s, you know.
Are they that young?
Yeah. But the lake's going to be great.
Okay.
It's going to be a really neat backdrop behind the amphitheater. A big body of water. That'll be cool.
Are you going to stock it with something to fish, or is it going to be like a big koi pond? Which direction you want to go on that?
It's probably going to be fishable.
Okay.
Panfish and stuff, yeah. Man.
Nice.
And folks that want to come and like rent cabins and stuff will have access to it. And fish and canoe,
Excellent.
whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I've been watching YouTube every morning.
All right. Who's your favorite YouTube station to get information off of?
Oh man, Sean James, my idol from Canada, building his own cabin way up in the bush, by hand tools only. And
I was watching for the longest time a guy in Ukraine doing the same thing. Obviously hasn't posted anything in a while. He stopped pre-COVID, but he had a wonderful half submerged house and was building his canoes. He made a fancy door for it. Was dressing it all up. If I can find the link, I'll get it to you.
yeah, that'd be great. Canoe, man, you got to be on your toes to build a canoe. Yeah.
I've never personally tried.
Was that Gertie?
I think that was your dog.
Where is she?
She's outside that door.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
she might go out in the street.
I'll get the dog.
Hang on, Gertie. Help is on the way.
Oh,
All right,
goodness.
moving right down to the favorite band you've had perform here, or best show that you can remember.
There's been a lot. Dumpster Funk was fun. Like Talk, when they were here, they did a good job.
Who?
Talk.
Oh.
What about
Oh,
Snarky
good.
Puppy?
Oh yeah, Snarky Puppy was good.
They went on and won a Grammy right after they were here too.
Main Squeeze. Main Squeeze.
Main Squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seven Walkers was really fun.
Dumpster Funk.
The dog's just barely in the bottom of the screen.
That's okay.
Gertie.
She doesn't need to be in it.
No, she just wants attention.
But honestly, like half the shows, like we only get to see like a smidgen of it anyways, because a lot of times we're so busy behind the scenes
No,
that
you're
like
working the shows, not.
not enjoying it, or you know having. But we all, I think, try to make sure that at some point, like just stop for 1 second, at least get one good song, where we're not working, we're not Stable Studios. We are actually able to enjoy kind of the fruits of our labor, to see that person on stage and do that for at least one song before we get
Absolutely.
back to it. Because I know for Seven Walkers, when Kristen and all the girls were in here, it was a bunch of my girlfriends that were helping do all the cooking and providing all the food for all the bands and everything. And they're literally just my girlfriends. They're not chefs, but they're good at cooking. And so they were just sweating back here and doing all stuff. I'm like, stop what you're doing. They're still going to play for another half an hour. You've got time. Let's go out there for 5 minutes and watch one song. Like, we can't. We have so much. I was like, what's 5 minutes? So the band has to wait 5 minutes when they get off stage? Screw
Yeah.
it, let's go.
Right.
You know, and just have that time to like, cool. Okay, now get back to it, you know? Because you don't get that very often. I don't know.
No.
Putting out fires here and there, talking to people, doing everything.
Mm-hmm. You've got to get that little bit of joy out of it every now and then.
Yeah.
Otherwise you wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all find joy in the hustle of it all anyways, but it's always nice to have that. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What was Turquoise? That was a good band.
Yeah, Turquoise was really fun.
Lots of horns.
Nice.
Yeah, so for anybody that's listening to that and they want a list of different artists, they should message us and see, you know, what's some artists that have been out there, and we should provide them with a bunch of different local, regional, and national artists that have been here, and check these guys out, you know, because some of them, like Cornmeal doesn't even play anymore, but some of their old stuff that you can find, I'm sure, on YouTube or wherever, it's really good, really good. And they all, as musicians, have branched off and played, but Cornmeal itself don't play anymore together.
What's the little fiddle player's name?
Allie Crowell,
Yeah. Who's she with now?
she was with Yonder. She's still,
Yonder Mountain.
yeah.
Yeah. What else, man?
Well, you talk about upcoming expansions. You got a lake. You got cabins coming.
Yeah.
We've got the shows coming up this week, which I want a full list so I can put in the description.
Yeah, I'll send you that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you guys want to add to this, or?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I talked for like a solid hour before you guys got here, so
just about. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's your turn.
Pretty much summed it all up.
And we are getting close to the time because we'll be airing this live. Well, actually, I'll be uploading it. It won't be live. Normally, the show is live on Mondays. We try to bring in new guests and all that. So if you don't have anything to add, we can end it here.
You got anything else?
Well, I wish there was a little more local involvement as far as attending some of these shows. It's tough to get people out,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we just haven't quite figured that out yet. How to get our local people. It's crazy how many times we'll be talking to someone new and like Stable Studios, like, no, I've never heard of it. Like, what do you mean you've never heard of it?
Yeah. How can you? I've seen the posters. I watch you guys
Right.
online. It's there. This is a known venue.
Yeah. What
But-
about the time there was 3,000 hippies in town at the liquor store?
Right. And I remember several of those events walking in, and there I am at Babs, and there's 17 different hair colors. It's like, oh, that reminds me of where I come from.
Right.
So I know I'm not in Spencer, but that's why we do this, is trying to get more out locally. Even though,
Good,
like I said
huh?
earlier, 14% of our audience is in Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, that's okay. They can come visit too. You know, there's an Airbnb here. They can stay, come to the
That's right.
festival.
Can be.
But I think sometimes, like locally, I think it's hard for them to justify paying $30 to go down the road. Maybe that's all I can figure. Or they're just not into the music, or they're just not knowledgeable about what we're doing. So again, like talking about like the Breathe Fest and all the different things that are going on there, or the Kinetic Fire Fest, or the Country Fest, or the Bluegrass Fest. Like, there's all these different things happening, and they maybe just don't know that all these different things are happening. And surely, like, there's something for everyone.
Yep.
There's got to be.
And there is definitely in Owen County a lack of news.
Yeah.
With Spencer Evening World going to one day and really not being published here. You
Yeah.
have things like Spencer Chatter, but that turns into a
Fight and argument.
right. So it's trying to create a new outlet for people to be able to just get information
Yeah.
and not have to worry about whatever tangent they want to go on. Yes, that's my word. And turn it into a Facebook argument or something to shun.
Yeah.
But we got to push more for that. So we will be letting everybody know about Stable Studios, give them all their information, and hopefully you'll get a lot of people coming in and asking questions about what bands and all that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you for letting me come out here. The place is awesome, and no, I'm not going to add any photographs. If you want to see this place, you got to come out here.
That's right.
We might work out some other video deal later, but we'll see. Thank you all for being part of this. And
Thank
sometime
you.
around here, I'll go ahead. Well, I can't say we usually close by saying Jeremiah or John push the button because we're doing this live. Nobody's live. So all I'm going to say is thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. Good night, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.